Welcome everyone to Synchronous Online Teaching Strategies for Educators. My name is Theresa Wills and I'm here to share with you MATHurdays, one of my favorite days of the week because I love math, I love teaching math, and I love productive struggle. So we're here today, we're going to have a math specific lesson and hopefully you can take some of these slides and use them directly in your content area. The big task that we're doing today is something that is applicable to anyone who's ever learned anything about area and perimeter. I know that shows up for many states in second and third grade, and it can be applied all the way up through calculus, and I plan to share the way that this task spans that whole range. So let's jump right in. I am on the Google Slides for the majority of the time. The only time we'll really use Collaborate is for you to click on your microphone and maybe type in the chat box. On slide 1, there are 4 buttons at the top. If you would like recordings of this class and other classes, and you would like recordings of videos and tips, you can hit the subscribe button to my YouTube account, and you'll be the first to be notified when new things are up. If you want to follow me on Twitter, send me an email. And the 4th button is the PD registration. I do PDs daily and my list is updated daily with all sorts of different ones. Saturday is always devoted to you all. It's MATHurdays. But all the other days of the week, I have lessons that can be taught in any content area. Coming up, starting tomorrow, is classroom management and accountability. If that is a hot topic for you right now, you can join us for part 4. And there's lots of other parts in there too, including ways to work with English language learners, graphic organizers, and more. So feel free to sign up for other PD opportunities. My ground rules are on slide 2. I always say them out loud with my students, and I'll do the same with you. Make sure you put away all distractions. Reduce or eliminate your background noise. Do assignments before class begins. Whenever we're in breakout rooms, turn your mics on, and in whole groups, turn them off, but turn them on when you participate. Be patient and professional. Use your away message when you're away from your keyboard. Don't drive on Collaborate Ultra, and update your profile picture as often as you can. On slide 3, you're going to move yourself, so just head on down to slide 3. I am continually updating this bank of templates. I would recommend bookmarking this site since it constantly updates rather than making a copy for yourself, although you totally can. But when you make a copy, it won't continue to update. So if you bookmark it, you'll see all the updates. There's some great videos on slide 4 if you're looking for how to do some of these things like breakout rooms and manage different tabs. All the sessions that I teach are on these gray slides, and today's session will be updated on slide 10. So if you want to see the recording of that and the completed slideshow, all that's in the gray slides. They're kind of like my announcement slides. And if you would join me down on slide 11 and 12, share with us your successes and celebrations. If you are brand new, tell us what's going well with you. If you are a veteran, tell us what you've been implementing. There we go. I think I made some more room. Oh, I think I just deleted someone else's stuff. Let me try and put it back. And I'll ask a couple of you all to share out. Michelle, let's start with you. How are you feeling more comfortable and what are your successes?
Well, I tried the interactive Google Slides with my kids the first lesson, and it went really well. Everybody was on task. I could see everybody's responses. They were able to sort their responses like you had done before. It was just more interactive than me lecturing and having them answer one at a time.
That's really exciting to hear. Yeah, because I don't want to compromise my good teaching just because we're online. I want to have students engaging. Someone said they're beginning to feel more comfortable using Collaborate. How's your comfort level, and what tips would you give other people who are still learning it?
Was that directed to me?
No, I think it was
Oh,
me. I teach
okay.
in Fairfax County, and we had a hiccup with a Blackboard Collaborate giving students direct links. So we had to actually create buttons on Blackboard Collaborate. So the students now have to go a different way. But overall, it's I feel comfortable also sharing like slides and thank you for your templates. I'm beginning to use them. So overall, I feel comfortable. Um, to the previous person that answered your question, I think it was Michelle, I have a question. When you say interactive use with Google Slides, what are you specifically saying or meaning? Just
Um,
answering them, or do you have a different way for them to respond other than the chat? Sorry.
yeah, it's just like how Teresa's going to show us today, how we have
Okay.
a Google Slides opened, and then you have Collaborate is just really for the speaking. And
Okay.
so they have that open while we're going. But as you do this, PD, you'll see it'll kind
Okay.
of,
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to have that community where you all have that ownership of the class. Lori, tell us a little bit about the Academy. What were you able to share, and how did that increase your confidence?
So for me, hi, good morning. For me, I teach this academy course, and we finally just got back up in line, sort of, with all the trouble that Fairfax is having, to teach a synchronous class. And a lot of people are talking about how they can integrate critical and creative thinking in their online asynchronous and synchronous sessions. And I started listening to what they were saying. I was like, oh my gosh, I just took this class with Dr. Wills. And if you did this one little simple thing, you could make it much more interactive. So it was really cool that I started going like, hey, go to this. Here's how you sign up for the course. And I've heard back from a few people that they're like, oh my gosh, this totally takes what you're teaching to a level that we can do it with distance learning. So that's exciting.
I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing. And Bridget, tell us a little bit about your facilitation of this virtual lesson.
Hi, good morning. Some of the colleagues that I can see in this chat actually and I have been collaborating after we've gotten to experience some of the slides and different things that you've taught us in different sessions. And so I've collaborated with some of them to create some virtual slides for CLTs. And yesterday I led some mini professional development sessions similar to what you're doing here to support my teachers in experiencing what distance learning might look like for literacy and for math. And they went really well.
Oh, thanks everyone. This made my day. I'm so happy to hear about your successes. When you have them, if you would like to throw them out on Twitter and tag me, I will retweet them out because people are looking for how do we make them more interactive. All right, let's dive right in. If you would come down to the slides below, 13 through 17. I know some of you teach multiple grade levels, but to make this simple, I want to know your favorite. If you would please put your name in any empty available text box on the grade level that is your favorite. And we'll try to get everybody in here. So if you are on, join us on slide 13 through 17 and type your name in a box for whichever one is your favorite. Tiffany, if it won't let you type in a box, it's probably because you're on present mode. Most computers, if you hit escape, it'll take you out of present and back into edit mode, where you have all the little slides on your left, and then you can type in it. All right, we're still getting a couple more people to type in those. Tiffany, are you on an iPad or device, or are you on a laptop or desktop computer?
I'm on a laptop PC.
All right, and so while we're hitting this question up, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, no, it worked. I hit escape. I just don't know how I got into present mode. That was weird.
Sometimes just your computer is set to automatically do that when you click the link, and you have to hit escape. Otherwise, it's just here on the edit mode.
Cool.
All right, I have
Thank you.
39 people who are going to be in different breakout rooms, and I want to sort you in breakout rooms by grade level. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and put your name in those. And once you're done, join me on slide 18 for our warm-up. Once your name is in, join me on slide 18 for our warm-up. All right, I'm seeing several people there. This is one of my favorite games in a face-to-face class. It's called Pari Area. And students would get a little index card with the directions on it, like you'll see on slide 18. It just says create a shape that's 8 units squared and 12 units. And they would have square tiles to move around until they've created some shape with that area and that perimeter. The cool thing about it is very quickly they learn how many square shapes to grab because that's your area, and really they spend the rest of their time reforming them to get the correct perimeter. And it's a super fun game with lots of different options for moving the shapes around. And what I've done is I have turned it into an online game where you can move the pieces and color code the pieces. So the easiest way to interact with this is simply clicking on a square and using the fill button to change the color of it. You can hold down Control and click a couple at a time and fill them. And it just gives you an opportunity to try out different shapes and see if you can make both the area and the perimeter. I'm going to give you all some fun work time. There's many slides below with lots of different options for trying to get that area and perimeter. And I'd ask that once somebody places their name at the top, that you let them have that entire space to try and make the shape. And then in just a few minutes, we'll chat about how this went and different ideas about it. So head down to any slide, claim it by placing your name on the mint colored box. You might have another player with you, and see if you can create that shape. It does look like Google had a little hiccup for me too. If you live near me, your internet probably just had a little hiccup also. If you give it just one moment, it will refresh itself. Oh, Norma, that's interesting. You know what we can do, folks? We can try a different link here. So luckily, this recording will have directions on how to do this. For whatever reason, and this does not happen often at all, but it's possible that there's just a lot of people in that Google slide. And so I've created a copy of it. I'm going to send that copy link out to you all, and that'll make it just private with us here today, the 38 folks that are here, and nobody else. And so there'll be less people writing on it, and we will be able to work together. Let me get that open for you. Alrighty. Here is our new link. This is just private with us. It has nobody else in it. And you shouldn't have any trouble with connectivity on this one. So what I did is I just made a copy of our original slides over here and sent that link out. And now that's just for us. All right, so I'm going to ask a couple of you to put a hand up or just turn on your microphone and tell us how might you use this in your grade level? Go ahead, Bridget.
Yeah, I was just talking with some of my third and fourth grade teachers yesterday, and they were sharing how they're feeling overwhelmed with moving into geometry and measurement in particular. So I was telling them that I was coming to this session, and I was hoping that we would see some examples. But they're thinking through like how they don't necessarily have all the tools that they would in the classroom for measuring things and for trying things out with those types of units. So this seems like a perfect way for them to still be using that kind of instruction with their kids through a digital way.
Absolutely, Bridget. There are a lot of things you could do with geometry measurement, but we do have to think differently. It's not going to be the same as a face-to-face classroom, but it doesn't mean we have to compromise our good teaching. How else might you be able to use this?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I would use it, you could do it as for the very first thing you do and determine if students know what area and perimeter are because you have the squared. So figuring out who knows what, you could use it as a pre-assessment.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Michelle.
You could probably also use it as a game. So if you didn't do it as an intro, it could be a game, and maybe there are more ways than just the one. Or, as they keep going, changing up the units and then adding, and whoever can fill theirs. I don't know, something interesting.
Absolutely. And Michelle, that's actually something I do in the face-to-face class, but I'll also include one mint piece that is impossible. And I'll tell them, I don't know which one it is. I totally messed up when I made this. Can you figure out the one that's impossible? And then that kind of motivates them to go in and try all the different ones until they can find the impossible one. Awesome. I hope that's a nice, easy little routine you can put in your classroom. Um, And let's see, Norma said, I use this idea for polling. Fill under yes or no. Yep, you can definitely do that. So perimeter and area are two topics in mathematics that students constantly confuse for one another. And in this activity, we purposefully dive into both of them at the same time. We don't keep them separate for different days so that we can compare and contrast the differences. And you'll notice I didn't even write perimeter and area on it. I just wrote unit squared and units. So it really forces them to think about the way that they write it. All right, let's dive in. Slide 42 are the different representations that you are going to use on today's activity. Try to see if you can include multiple. On slide 43, I have the math practices from the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and this is why we do tasks like this. This is why I don't just turn on my video and lecture, and instead I give you something that is very open and say, have at it, give it a try. On slide 44 is the problem-solving oath for this session. If you pledge to abide by this oath, please write your name in the chat box and let us know that you promise to try your best, that you'll make sense of patterns and numbers, that you will use manipulatives and drawings, you'll make mistakes, ask questions, listen to others, stay engaged by always trying to find another solution or representation, and make the world a better place. Awesome. We've got a lot of great math problem solvers here today. Come join me on slide 45. Here's your task. A very open task. A company called Polygons Be Gone Group has hired you to design an ice skating rink for the top floor of a state-of-the-art mall. They will award the contract to the most creative looking rink. The most important detail about the rink is that there must not be any angles, right? Acute, obtuse. Because hockey pucks will become trapped and players will get injured trying to release the puck. Your job is to create a rink, figure out how much water is needed to flood the rink, in other words, figure out area, and figure out how much border wall is needed to enclose the rink, in other words, perimeter. And consider how your grade level will think about area and perimeter and what strategies you would want them to use. You'll be placed in groups according to your grade level. And I've placed those groups up at the top where you wrote in your names. So if you would view the top where you wrote your name, find out what group you're in, and then you're going to move yourself into that breakout room. I'll be patient to teach you how to do that. Give me just a minute to get the room set up. The rooms are set up and you'll move yourself into them. If you move to collaborate, the attendees button, scroll way down, and you'll see the rooms available. You just click that little green arrow and you'll be able to go right into them. I'll repeat the directions, so no worries if you need a little more time. You go into collaborate. Underneath attendees, where you see everybody's name, you are going to go way down and you'll see the group numbers. And you just click the little green arrow to move into that group. Oh, group 6 slide is just now appearing. I thought we were going to have 5 groups, so I only prepped for 5, but I'm adding more real quick. Yep. And again, because we were having a little internet mishap earlier, we've changed slideshows. So we are here. And it looks like we still have a couple people. No worries. So here's how you find the group you go into. First, you'll move over to Collaborate. You'll click on the Attendees tab at the very bottom, right next to the chat box. And you'll scroll way, way down. You'll see the different groups, and you click the little green arrow to enter that group. And I will also pop you guys into those rooms in just a minute if I don't see you move yourself already. All right, if you're still here and you want support moving to another room, just let me know who you are and I will move you automatically. Elaine, it looks like you're in group 3, so I'll move you. And if you don't see the new groups, make sure you are on this link. Norma, earlier today we wrote our favorite grade level. That's where you will find your group number. Let me see if I can find which side you are on. You're in group 6, Norma. Hillary, let's see what group you are in. Yep. Dun, dun, dun. Hillary, you're in group 3. So I can move you or you can move yourself, either one.
Oh, yeah.
Underneath, right above the slide, like right above.
So we could draw a line and then slide it up.
You see the numbers? I think that's a
Yes.
ruler, maybe.
Someone is amazingly smart. Yeah, like, so you could like say, okay, so this is where that ends here.
Like this is the,
Exactly. Yep. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like that's 3.5. I mean, and then up to 7 and some change. It looks like 7.5 as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could make it 7.5. Yeah, so it's 3.5 to 7.5. So it's 4. Maybe what are these inches? 4 inches.
This looks. Yeah, it doesn't say what exact. Oh, yeah. If you right click on it, you can even add
the lines at the side of the margin lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. If you right click on the actual ruler, you can even show guides. Let's see.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Square, efficient way of figuring out the area.
Yeah, so maybe like some guiding questions.
Right.
Is there a way to make the right side on the line instead of halfway through those squares?
Yeah.
I can move it so that it fits the square.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And the top as well, even though that's almost just...
I mean, do we need to fill, it doesn't say we need to fill the whole thing, but we would need to figure out like the border and all of that stuff around it. We could do like the edges, the curves or whatever we could put in on the top side too, if we wanted to go really wild. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I was looking up ghost hockey teams and I found
What'd you find?
I don't know. There's like a video of like the ghost team takes the ice. I don't know. I kind of want to like watch it and see if it's cool. We can add it.
Hi,
Oh my
Group
gosh,
One. I
insert
love
video.
your idea. This is so cool. So the interesting thing is with you all being looking at primary grades, I know there's a lot of things that you all do with measurement that might not yet include rulers. And so if you're thinking about the type of manipulatives that students use to measure at your grades, you can copy and paste those from online and like move them around your shape or inside your shape, just like you would in a classroom. A little more copy paste heavy, but hopefully you'll still be able to showcase what you can do in the primary grades.
Oh, love that idea.
Yeah.
Hi there, Melanie. I saw that you had a hand up. Do you have a question?
I do. I still see myself as part of participants. I saw myself in group 3. I'm supposed to be in group 8. I cannot get
that
to group 8.
Not
I
a
don't.
problem. I will move you there right now. I thought I had moved you to 3, but I must have mixed up my numbers. Here you go. And group 3, what kind of shape are you all thinking about?
I'm getting nowhere in this so far. I'm still trying to figure out how to bounce back and forth and what's happening. So
No
I don't know if it's
worries.
better for me to just observe in another group right now, so because I'm just learning this, or because I'm not feeling
Yeah, I'm
great.
in the same place.
Sure, I'll put you both in group 6. They
Sorry,
are
Elaine.
doing a little bit more, and they've been to another session before. But I also encourage you to be patient with yourself as you're learning the tech,
Yeah.
and feel free to jump in and try some things out. You can't mess anything up. Just have fun.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, Elaine.
No, it's same with me.
Bye.
I'm going to move you both in 6 now.
Thank you.
Yep. Hi there, group.
Hi.
I'm loving your shape, especially thinking of the grade levels that you all work in. This is totally doable. How might your students do this?
This is Dr. Willis, right?
Yes.
I can't see their slides, so I'm like making my own. How is that possible? I'm on slide 49.
Yep, you're in the old slides. Do you remember how we had some tech issues earlier today?
Okay, and you sent a separate one?
Yeah, I'll send it again. Just
Okay,
click on
thank
this
you.
link, and you'll be able to see everybody's slides.
So I go to the chat room, right?
Yep.
Okay, I see it. Perfect.
The neat thing is how similar your slide was to theirs.
You saw mine?
Yeah, I was able to see it. Yeah.
That was Payel's suggestion. So I also was trying to do something myself because that was the tricky part you said. So it's not loading, but it's all right.
Try it once more. It should. This one does. It only has 28
Okay,
people.
it's loading now.
Good,
it's loading.
Good.
I can see it. Thank you. Payal, what slide are you all in? 44?
I'm actually inside 50.
50. Okay. Thank you.
And anyone else can jump in. I just was playing around.
Oh, I love it. See, I did mine, and this part was too.
So if you go to the shapes, we do have some other options. There's like a teardrop shape. There's kind of a wavy shape. If we're trying to be creative.
Yeah, it looks like we made the Boston Garden.
Yeah.
I like it. Creative.
What do you think, Andrea or Elaine?
I mean, I don't know that we're going to win the creative award. But
the nice thing about this is I'm looking at the other ones, and aside from the Mickey Mouse design that I'm seeing on like slide 53, looking pretty straightforward.
I like the moon shape that's going on there. Who put the moon shape up? That's a good start.
I did. What if we try a moon?
Okay,
Hi
so
there,
I'm going to
Fred.
get rid of our border because we can always put the border on afterwards.
Yeah.
I do like the shape that you all came up with. Either one you go with, the ellipse or the moon. The neat thing about your grade level that you all teach is they're starting to explore circles, but they don't get into oval shapes or ellipses. And it would be a nice extension for them to be like, well, how do you estimate the area of a oval shape when all we know how to do is a circle shape, and see if they can kind of decompose that formula and see if they can figure out why it might work for an oval and what they'd have to change.
Yeah, you're right, Theresa. I'm looking at some of the other slides, and the two circles, like the semicircles with the rectangle in between, that's typical of the curriculum.
Yeah.
Like kind of the track. But we could.
I'm wondering.
This one's more creative.
Ooh. Is there a way that we could sort of widen the points here? If we can make them
play around, just grab something, drag it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the border?
No, not the border. I'm trying to grab like the point.
Pi 0.14.
Well, I'm doing the rectangle.
Oh, you do the rectangle? The rectangle is 10 by 20.
Is it 10? I don't think so.
10 by 20.
3, 6, 9.
Well,
Okay,
if it's
10 by
10 by
20.
20, then
200.
our radius
200.
is not.
That's the area. We need the perimeter.
Right. I agree with whoever just said that. The radius should be 5, not 6.
Right.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Then hang on. I'll redo all my numbers.
Yep. Good.
5. Okay, I miscounted then.
I
Hang
thought
on,
I
I'll
was
redo the
going
area.
crazy.
Maybe
yeah.
like what are other objects around your house that can help you measure?
Oh, group, this is so cool. I love how you use paper clips. And I have a question for you. Have you ever done this activity in your class and you tell students to use paper clips, but then they start to grab different size paper clips? And do you ever have a conversation about that?
So I'm not in the classroom. I've been an instructional coach for 10 years, so I feel like I can't answer this question, but I'm sure it happens.
Yeah, it definitely happens. It brings a really rich conversation about different units of measure and how even rulers have different units of measure on it when we compare it. And it really makes for good conversation.
We even had a conversation about, making sure we were precise in scaling our tools so they were accurate.
So cool. Nice job, group.
Thanks.
It's not transparent, right?
You might just have to use the curved line.
I can't put it back in, Payel. Who made the circle? I can't put it. Okay.
Like something like that.
I took it out to see if you could actually count the circles. It's not see-through, you see? And you can get the area.
Oh, wait, look. Do
What?
you see that? Can you see that on our slide?
Oh, I love, yeah.
That's what I meant to do originally, because now we just use the formula and like the formula of finding the area and perimeter of a circle and cut it in half.
Oh, because that's what I did in my original one.
Oh, cool.
But, oh, I understand it's easier to find out the area of a circle.
Yeah, because the way you had it.
Yours was easier because it was closer to just missing the ends. Okay, how do you do this then?
So I'm just moving that up so that we have a little more room down here.
So it's still 30, no.
Group, this is super interesting what you've done here.
2, 4,
with these little curved corners, how would you expect someone in your grade level to figure out the area when there's a little curve like that?
We weren't sure. So we actually originally wanted to do what you see down here with the semicircles.
I'm wondering if you just have to subtract 1 on the ends because it overlaps, I mean, that would be like the layman way of doing it, but.
Well, actually, what you just mentioned there is the layman way is very grade level appropriate because you all teach estimation and what it's like to have way too big of an estimation and way too small of an estimation. So they're curved. It's not the full square, but about how much do you have to subtract out? And that's really important for students to know going into the upper grade levels when they're actually calculating area and perimeter.
That's true.
I'm trying to figure the angle of a square is the same size as one of the sides. I'm trying to remember.
We need the area first to be able to figure out our how much water we needed. That was why we focused there.
I have 412. Oh, maybe I did it wrong. Hold on.
Welcome back to the main room, everyone. Can you believe 20 minutes have already happened? You've been working on math for 20 minutes, and we are back together. I've gone ahead and turned off your mics, so if you need to use it, go ahead and turn your mic back on. And again, I want to be explicit that I'm not modeling how much time to give students on this. I might give them a whole week of working on this problem. What I'm trying to model is how to do this discussion at the end of it. So welcome back. And if you join me on slide 48, we are going to see something really cool today. We're going to see the learning progressions of how a kindergartner, first or second grader, solve for area and how that evolves all the way up through calculus. So this problem is applicable to any grade level. And on slide 48, if someone from that group can explain to us, why do you have these cool little toys over to the side, and how might a student use that in your class?
Hi, everybody. So the group that we were just in, we were talking about how students in the classroom, when thinking about measurement in the primary grades, before they get to using a ruler in second grade for the first time, they're using things like non-standard units. So we tried to think about some items that they might use in the classroom, like a Unifix cube or a paper clip. And then some of our team members also talked about some of the tools that their kids are using at home to do some different measurement activities as well, like Legos or goldfish. And so we tried to think of ones that were about an inch, give or take. And we were thinking about using this with kids, how they would be able to either fill in the shape or measure around. And we put some guiding questions as a team in the notes section, the comment section down below, that teachers could ask students as they were working through this problem.
Very cool. Hillary, I think I just saw a fabulous question. If you would type that in the very last slide at the virtual parking lot, I have some great tips for you there. All right, so we have learning progression number 1. They're using non-standard units and getting ready for the ruler. On slide 50, we have group 2. And what was neat about this group, if you all would talk about your top figure and how a kinder through even 3rd or 4th grade might be able to find the area of this even with those stinking curves.
Hi. So our group originally wanted to do a semicircle and then split it in half, or a circle and split it in half. So you'll see the bottom figure. But then we came into Google Slides and saw there was this figure, and then it had just a little bit of a curve. So we were discussing a lot of estimating. We were guessing how much that would be.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. And estimation is so important at those grades. And snipping a little bit off for a curve really will test them to see, how they're thinking about that. Let's move to slide 52. Slide 52 has a lot of really cool math on it. If you all will explain your grade level and what students might be doing at that grade.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
So we were primarily 4th grade, and we talked about how in 4th grade we focus on quadrilaterals. So because the direction was curved edges, couldn't have any angles, we assumed there were curved edges, which is something that the 4th graders haven't focused on yet. So we were thinking about kids are going to start counting the area in the middle by making counting the square areas. And then some of our group members thought about we can section it off with the polygons they already know about. And then we were kind of approximating some of the curves.
So it sounds like you all were taking 4th grade strategies with arrays and then also thinking about curves. I want us as a group to figure out what's similar and different from what they did. from what Group 8 did. Come on down to slide 60. Way down to slide 60. And Group 8, tell us your process. Slide 60.
Well, first off, we struggled with drawing the figure initially and figuring out how to actually use the tools. And we just kind of collaboratively worked together. Some of us have had experience of going to a hockey game and actually seeing a hockey rink, so they knew what the shape should look like. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yes, we first started with drawing the rectangle and then 2 half circles. And then we calculated the area of the rectangle and added the area of the circle with using the formulas that we know. And then we found we only calculated the length of the sides, the length of the long sides of the rectangle, and then the circumference of the circle, and added those together to find the perimeter of our entire shape.
Thank you, Group 8. So they've explained the math behind why they did it. How is that similar, or how is it different from slide 52? So move back and forth between 60 and 52. Go ahead, Raha.
So we were talking about the fact that fourth graders don't know the formulas for circles and ovals yet. So we wanted to kind of estimate and think about what a fourth grader would be doing.
And I'm Melanie in Group 8. We already know our formulas, and you did all the parts. We did the whole because we already knew the whole. So that's kind of a difference. You got the parts, we've got the whole.
And I think it's thinking of it as the kids go through each grade level, they're learning parts to eventually learn the formula where it's derived from somewhere. So we want the kids to like understand it's a progression, like the conceptual learning of it.
Go ahead, Sherry.
Yes. What I really think a big difference too is that for the earlier slide, you could see what the thought process was because they showed each of the steps. So that was really good. Whereas with the other one, I mean, we were given an opportunity to verbally explain our process. So that was nice with the first presentation.
Right. Absolutely. And when we get into the pedagogy of what's happening here, in fourth grade, they're starting to take a shape and decompose it into arrays. And so that decomposing is that idea of cutting it up. Whereas down in slide 60, because of the prior knowledge of students in high school, they are, the decomposing part is already like in their problem solving sense. They're like, hey, let's just make 2 semicircles. We know that already and plop them together. So that idea of how you create it even is quite different. I'd like us to take a peek at slide 53, and if you all can tell us how you use the rulers, and everyone else think about, are they creating something or are they decomposing something? So group 5 on 53, how did you use the rulers?
We drew lines from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle and could use the ruler at the top. So it was like 3.6 to 7.2, and we subtracted. That was the diameter. Then we used that for the bigger circle, and we did the same thing for the smaller circles, and then used our formulas. Because 6th grade math, we do a lot on circumference and area of circles at this grade level. And then we added the 2 together, similarly to the one we were just looking at with the rectangle and the 2 circles. We just added a big circle and a little circle.
Very cool. I never thought about using the rulers that are on the top and the side. And so that was a really neat way of using that. If you don't see the rulers, it's under your View tab, and you'll be able to say Show Ruler, and that's available to you. So what do we think? Are they decomposing a shape or are they building on? You can turn on your mics and share or type in the chat box. What are they doing in this group? Very cool. So now we're able to see the difference and have students think about the difference. What about slide 56? Do we think that they are decomposing or building on? When you type it in, give a rationale of why you think that. Or is there a third category that they're doing? This is definitely winning in my book because there's a place for me to relax while my kids get their energy out on the rink. Andrea, can you tell us a little bit more what deconstructing means?
Well, I think deconstructing means reducing in some way. So when I looked at that slide, I assumed that they started with the rectangle and then did away with the right angles.
Oh, cool.
I'm thinking. So they just shrunk it in to make an oval.
That's cool. Chelsea, I like your agree.
Pardon me?
I just noticed Chelsea's little, I have a connection symbol in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree too. Who else sees a subtraction space? Sherry, what do you mean by that?
It's like the classic, you take, I mean, there's the same shape, you're calculating the area of the larger and then subtracting the smaller.
And to me, that seems almost similar to slide 52.
Really?
They were adding, but now I'm just subtracting.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, folks. If you come down to slide 61, I'm going to try and get us out here on time, but if you need to go, go ahead. What I modeled today is the 5 practices by Smith and Stein. They are my little math gods personally, have taught me so much, and this is how you can do it online. I already had several ways of anticipating it. You can actually see those anticipations down on slide 63 through 72. I was monitoring. I was in and out of your rooms all the time, listening and asking important questions. I selected certain ones to go over and which of those I would ask students questions and which I would just leave available for us to think about. I sequenced them in a purposeful order. It wasn't just by grade level. We jumped way down to high school. And then we made connections, especially between what they do in the early grades. So as you can see on the slides, there's lots of ways that students can tackle this problem in lots of different grade levels. My favorite one is one time when I did this on slide 71, the kindergarten group made this little bean shape and they started talking about how, oh cool, you can make different rectangles and just have the students calculate the area of that rectangle for different heights. And then all of a sudden during our whole group conversation, a calculus teacher kind of took over with glee and said, you could do it with trapezoids too. And that's what an integral is all about anyways. You're finding the area underneath that curve and you do it all these different ways. So in calculus, she was teaching those same strategies that they were doing in kindergarten in her class. And you can kind of see a little relationship to that on 72. So that's how I see this problem. I hope everyone can use it in your grade level. And below I have lots of templates and slides for you to use. including slide 73, which is the scavenger hunt. See what students know. All the templates for the slide are below. And I will end today with any questions. Wow, the virtual parking lot is already filling up. This is wonderful. I'll end today on the virtual parking lot. Again, do this with your students. Assume they know so much, and when they have a question, be patient with them and yourselves. Give yourself grace and try one thing at a time. A recording of this will be posted later on today, and I wish you all the best of luck with your online learning. And don't compromise anything for online learning. Like, keep the same great pedagogy in your class. All right, I am headed down to the virtual parking lot, and those amazing questions that I heard earlier, I will answer in here. Where did you find manipulatives? Whoever asked this, one of my favorite things to do is just use Google Images and copy paste them. So what I'll do for this is I will share my screen with you, and you can see exactly how I do it. I just Google Unifix cubes into Google. I go to my images, and I find one that I want to use. Ooh, this one right here is looking nice. And I'm just gonna copy this and paste it into my slides. And then I'll use the crop feature. So I'll crop this image to exactly what I want, and I'll resize it, and then my students can use it. Oops. So I've cropped it now. I've resized it, and now my students can copy and paste pictures of that Unifix cube to fill it. Another great website for Unifix cubes is CPM, and you can actually snap them all together. So I will put this, you can just snap these things. My students will sometimes use these virtual manipulatives, take screen captures, and post them on their slides. And there's all kinds of fun things in here. There's backgrounds that you can use for games or grids. Lots of cool stuff. All right, let's see what else. How did you get people's circles at the top to be anonymous animals? That's a great question when it comes to accountability and classroom management, which is actually the lesson I'm teaching tomorrow. And the way you do that is you go to your share button, and there's two ways of sharing. You can share the link so that everyone can log in anonymously, or if they're already signed in with their face, or you can type in the roster of students that you have and their email address for their school. If you do email address, the students have to log in and it will show their faces. So if you need that accountability, it's there. If you do things like I do where I want students to be able to respond anonymously, you can just give them the link. How to make the cool colored boxes on slide 52. Are they text boxes, shapes? So this is another thing I'm going to go over tomorrow also, but I'm happy to share here. Those are just shapes. So for example, I can go up here and I can draw a shape in. And I can copy and paste them, cluster them all together. But another cool thing that you can do is if you don't want students to adjust it, you can make it the background. So there's a couple things on here that I might not want students to adjust. And there's some cool little tricks, but I can present. And take a picture.
Theresa, I think she was, Theresa.
Yeah?
I think she was referring to Group 4's template.
Let's see.
Because they use a lot of color.
Oh, it looks like they were just using the lines to color code them. Let's see.
We just added shade to the boxes.
Oh, yep, Laura, thank you. You and whoever else is answering there. yeah, you can change the background of things in here. You can also make them transparent in the fill and give them a nice bright colored line. I'm wondering if you might have any suggestions for having students use virtual manipulatives other than to drop images on the slide. Google Slide does not have a lot of embedding capabilities that I know of, but much like I showed here, I will give them the link. I'll say play around on this, and I teach students how to do a screen capture. On a PC, it's Alt Print Screen. On a Chromebook, there's a little screen capture button, and on a Mac, you can do a snippet. I think it's called snippet. And then you just paste it on the slide. It's a fairly easy technique once you know how to do it, and I will try and make a slide in a video that explains how to do snippets. I'll try and get that up for you guys today or tomorrow. Do you have 2D and 3D slide templates? I don't know what a 3D one would be. Maria, do you want to explain that one? Someone wrote, might you have any ideas for supporting K2 teachers implementing some of these ideas with your students? Yeah, I have quite a few because I have a Daisy Girl Scout troop and they're kinder first grade. And we started out using Flipgrid exclusively just to make sure that they knew how to do some tech capabilities. But boy, did they catch on to that so fast that we only used that for the first 2 weeks. And now we just do one slide at a time. I have a slide presentation with just successes and celebrations. That's it. It's one slide. And I've taught them how to put in text boxes, and they're already better than me. They've put in images and all kinds of things. We talked about etiquette, like what happens if you delete a slide? Yeah, your teacher can fix it, but how do you use internet community and fix it yourself? And so we kind of walked through that a little bit, and we just took it slow and easy, and they're super confident now. I'll get to this one in a minute. I thought it was hard to navigate between the slide and the description of the task and the slide where you are recording our solution. Is there a way to keep students on track? I can show you what my students do. I never even taught this. They just started doing it. They would grab the slide with the text on it, and they would copy the question. And I mean, you can set this up too. And they would come down and they'd put it in the speaker notes. They would paste it down here.
Oh,
and
good
so they
idea.
always had it, or they would paste it on the actual slide and just stick it over. So if I did it here, give me just a minute. My computer's running a little on the slow speed today. So they would just resize that and they would stick it off to the side, much like I'm attempting to do right now. But so it wasn't in their way. They would just kind of like move it off over there. And so they still had it available. And you could set up slides to do that too. Can these strategies be used in asynchronous lessons? Probably, but I am also here to tell you I am not an expert in asynchronous. I don't teach that way. And so there's a lot of experts out there in asynchronous. I'd be happy to brainstorm with you, but it's not my area of expertise. So you probably can. I don't have too much on that. Someone wanted to know about profile pictures. So I'm going to share my screen again. It's going to do a little haul of mirrors, but you really only need to pay attention to the white bar. You go under the gear, click your image, upload. It'll send you to find a file, and you just make it look nice and you hit save. And that's how you do your image. Well, folks, I think I got to everything on here. If you have other questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, happy Mather Day. Go have fun. try to do things that you wouldn't even be able to do in a face-to-face classroom, and really let kids take over the class, and it'll give you more time to facilitate. You are very welcome. I hope you all use this task in your classes. Maybe consider using it over several days, and let me know how it goes.
Thanks, Theresa, again.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Alrighty, see ya.